Biden and Xi greet each other with a warm handshake on the sidelines of APEC. Follow live updates. WOODSIDE, Calif. AP, President Joe Biden and Chinese President Xi Jinping greeted each other with a warm handshake Wednesday as they met on the sidelines of the Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperative conference. The two leaders last spoke a year ago, and since then, already fraught ties between the nations have been further strained. The outcome of Wednesday's talks could have far-reaching implications for an anxious world that is grappling with global economic cross-currents from the pandemic, wars in the Middle East and Europe, upcoming elections in Taiwan and more. Follow live updates. What is APEC anyway? Biden's goal for Xi meeting is to get U.S. China communications back to normal, the White House says. Biden and Xi finished their first round of talks after more than 2 hours. The expanded bilateral meeting, which concluded at 1:35 p.m. local time in California, included Biden, Xi and a dozen government officials for each country. After a short break, the two sides reconvened for a working lunch at 2:07 p.m., the White House said. The lunch includes Biden, Secretary of State Antony Blinken and National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan. Xi is participating in the lunch with Foreign Minister Wang Yi and Chief of Staff Kai Chi. To the domestic audience in China, Beijing continues to blame the U.S. for problems in the bilateral relations and urges Washington to establish correct views of China. The official news service Xinhua said in a series of editorials that Washington should walk out of its zero-sum mentality and expand cooperation to further stabilize and improve bilateral relations. Beijing has expressed hope that Washington would respond with concrete actions. We hope the positive attitudes as shown by the U.S. in recent interactions are not political calculations and tactical opportunism, Xinhua said in an editorial. We hope the oral promises made will become concrete policies and actions. Ahead of the meeting between Biden and Xi, senior White House officials said Biden would walk away from the talks with major announcements expected on curbing the flow of chemicals used in the production of fentanyl and concrete steps to revive military-to-military communications. The lush estate where Biden and Xi are meeting may look familiar to 1980s television fans or movie buffs fond of Michael Douglas. Biden and Xi were speaking behind closed doors at the Filoli Historic House and Garden, which features a Georgian Revival-style mansion and a formal, English Renaissance-style garden. The retreat consists of 16 acres of formal gardens and is surrounded by a 654-acre estate. It is located in Woodside, California, about 25 miles south of San Francisco. The property was built in 1917 as a private estate for the Bourne and Roth families, but has since become a national trust for historic preservation site. It is normally open to the public, but a message at the top of the estate's website currently reads, "Filoli is closed November 13 to 15 while we deck the halls for the holidays." David Fincher's 1997 mystery thriller, The Game, which starred Douglas, was filmed in part on the property. So was the multi-part pilot for ABC's primetime soap opera, Dynasty, which aired from 1981 to 1989. Time equals 400 ms. greater than. I'm still of the view that major country competition is not the prevailing trend of current times and cannot solve the problems facing China and the United States or the world at large. Planet Earth is big enough for the two countries to succeed. And one country's success is an opportunity for the other. Xi in remarks after shaking hands with Biden. Time equals 400 ms. greater than. Biden and Xi are stressing the need for their nations to strengthen mutual understanding while cautioning that their interests will sometimes conflict. The pair opened their face-to-face meeting in the San Francisco Bay Area with a solid handshake. Later, they sat at one long table together rather than at separate ones. Even small details like floral arrangements were important for a meeting where protocol is of the utmost importance. Flowers on the table appeared to be evergreens. Biden said the purpose of the meeting was to understand each other. He said, as always, there's no substitute to face-to-face discussions. He added of Xi, we've known each other for a long time. We haven't always agreed. Biden also said that he wants no misconceptions or miscommunications, and that the two leaders have to ensure that competition doesn't veer into conflict. Xi spoke of the need to strengthen cooperation to combat climate change but also condemned what he called rising protectionism. Biden says the aim of the APEC summit is for leaders to understand each other. Xi says they bear heavy responsibilities for the world. The two leaders made the comments Wednesday after shaking hands in their first face-to-face meeting in more than a year. Biden and Xi have opened their first face-to-face meeting in more than a year with a solid handshake ahead of talks with far-reaching implications for a world grappling with economic crosscurrents, wars in the Middle East and Europe, tensions in Taiwan and more. The two leaders, meeting at a bucolic country estate outside San Francisco, are looking to get communications back on track after a tumultuous year and to show the world that while they are global economic competitors, they're not locked in a winner-take-all face-off. Time equals 400 ms. Greater than since the two leaders last met. Already fraught ties have been further strained by the U.S. downing of a Chinese spy balloon, differences on the self-ruled island of Taiwan, China's hacking of a Biden official's emails and other incidents. A large crowd gathered in front of the Chinese consulate to condemn Xi has started marching toward Moscone Center, where main APEC events are being held. They held signs reading, "Free Hong Kong," and "Tibet belongs to Tibetans," and chanted, "Free Tibet," and "Down with the CCP," referring to the Chinese Communist Party. They started marching around 11 a.m. Wednesday local time. Time equals 400 ms. Greater than speakers implored the Biden administration to stand up to Xi and his human rights violations. Ahead of the meeting between Biden and Xi, senior White House officials said Biden would walk away from the talks with major announcements expected on curbing the flow of chemicals used in the production of fentanyl and concrete. Steps to revive military-to-military communications. One senior administration official, who spoke on condition of anonymity to preview aspects of the meeting, said Wednesday's talks will stand out from the last time Biden and Xi spoke a year ago in Bali. The official said there weren't concrete agreements coming out of Bali, unlike what is expected on Wednesday.